Okay, so just a very quick overview. I am going to be the only person talking during this fake session, and I am pretending that I am a full-time employee at my internship site, which is Holly Hill Child and Family Solutions. So that is my brief preface. So now we will start. Hello, and welcome. I hope that you were able to find your way here pretty easily. Before we begin the session, I'm going to give a quick overview of how things are going to work, and then we're going to dive into everything. So first, I'm going to do a really quick introduction of myself. Then we're going to go over some other information, such as confidentiality and privacy, the structure of our sessions, and how we're going to handle technical difficulties, as well as a few other tidbits here and there. So I'm Peyton. I am a licensed social worker and I got my undergrad and my master's degree at the University of Cincinnati. I've had a few internships. So I was at the Boys and Girls Club of Greater Cincinnati, which is primarily working with kids of all different walks of life. Really fun. Um, and then I also was at University of Cincinnati Blue Ash campus working in their social services and wellness department. So I was helping with like networking students to various needs that they have. And I've now been at Holly Hill Child and Family Solutions for about 9 months. I was previously an intern here, so I did have some time of experience prior to this. And I am a behavioral specialist, so I help in aiding individuals who are, managing behavioral challenges. And I work primarily with children, but I also work with adolescents, and I've had numerous sessions with adults as well. So that's a little bit about me. If there's anything else you want to know, obviously feel free to go ahead and ask. So for the next session, we will be briefly going over the confidentiality policy. Um, so just in general, anything that you share during our session is completely confidential. Your personal information is protected, and I'm only going to share it if you give me permission or if I'm required to by law. One exception to this is if you share any intent to harm yourself or another person. I'm a mandated reporter, so these are just some things that I have to do to keep you safe and keep other people safe. This also goes the same for if you are being harmed by somebody else in your life as well. Um, and since we are meeting online, it's also really important to know that you have consented for us to be meeting online, and we're going to continue your mental health services via telehealth. And since we do see each other during using telehealth, it's very important for me to keep all of this information as safe as possible. So I'm required to only join calls using a protected Wi-Fi network. And I'm also required to send emails using an encrypted setting that's within the email services. And then I only am able to make calls within my office space. So, meaning when I'm not in my office space, because I do have times in which I am working at a school within the district, I will not be able to take your calls. But email is always available. I'm always able to send email. So, if you do ever need me quickly, email is the best way to go. Your information is really important to me, and I'm going to follow all of the protocol to protect it. So that is the confidentiality out of the way. I would like to just kind of speak on how the structure of our sessions are going to be looking. Um, I'll usually spend the first 10 minutes or so just kind of building a relationship with you and catching up on what has happened between our time seeing each other. Um, and then after that, I'm required to complete a brief outcome survey, which is just three quick questions, kind of asking how your symptoms have looked over the usually week between I've seen you. So I'll ask you that, and then we're going to begin working on an activity, skill, or just a discussion for that day. Um, as we get to know each other better, I'll be able to cater any plans that I make or activities that I come up with to your interests and what things I've noticed that you really enjoy during session, what things maybe you need to build up your skills on. I'll kind of cater it towards that as we go. And then occasionally I might ask you to have some supplies with you on hand. Um, this might be like paper and writing utensils or just being in a space where you're able to get up out of your seat. And sometimes we'll do some stretching, meditation, yoga, just like stand a little bit because that can always make sessions a little bit easier as well. But I'll always let you know of that prior to the start of the session. Um, so as mentioned a few times now, we are meeting via telehealth. So I did want to give a little overview on that. we're going to be using Teams as our primary meeting place. Teams is really user friendly and it's not difficult to navigate. I'll be sending you an email that has the session time, any supplies that are needed, and the link for the meeting each day. And your job is just to read it and click on the link, and then you'll be here. Um, and I'll always send that about an hour before the session. In the event that we run into any technical difficulties, we'll find a way to work through it together. I'm not the best at technology either. I understand that it's really confusing. Sometimes something as simple as just restarting your computer, or, sometimes your computer decides it needs an update right before you have something important to do. But I totally understand that. I normally have a 15-minute grace period for being late to a session, but typically, if we're already having a conversation about technical difficulties occurring and we're trying to figure that out, then I'll always give more grace time to be able to work through that with you, even if it means that we're going to have a slightly shorter session time. Um, so also, using Teams comes with a lot of really fun features. Since we're using telehealth, my company does require video to be on. This is kind of like an insurance coverage thing, just within the policy. But I know sometimes that can be really anxiety inducing for somebody, especially when you just don't feel comfortable with another person seeing your personal space. I totally understand that. So there's a bunch of background settings. You're able to kind of like highlight yourself, but then change the background to whatever you want it to be. My personal favorites are just like the classic blur because I mean, that one's just super simple and easy. But then I also really love this one where it's like in my head what I imagine my perfect office space would be in like downtown New York. Beautiful windows all around. I don't know. It's really pretty. I use that one very often. So I think they're really fun and they're also just like a really nice way to feel more comfortable during a session. Um, we're also going to be using the mic to speak to each other. And again, in some situations, this can be kind of anxiety inducing. But I know that a lot of earbud brands now they have a mic. So if you ever wanted to like plug in some earbuds, talk through the mic, that is totally acceptable. I understand maybe not wanting someone to be able to hear everything. But with that being said, the space that you wish for these sessions to occur is completely up to you. I recommend it being somewhere that's private, quiet, and comfortable. Because these sessions can be about an hour long. So you wanna be comfortable during it. I don't want you to feel like you're sitting in a super uncomfortable chair because that's really hard to pay attention to an entire, like, service during that time. I know people will do, like, their homes, people will, rent out rooms in their a local library I know is always an option, or sometimes schools will have rooms that you can request to have, like, reserved for you so that all good options wherever you feel the most comfortable. And then if for any reason you're unable to attend the session, please just email or call me before. Just let me know and we'll schedule for the next week. Um, I'm only going to mention this because I did have a situation in which this became relevant and it was just kind of a mess because I didn't mention it prior to the situation happening with the other individual. But there is an engagement policy here at Holly Hill. And since you're over the age of 18, you will be the one who's accountable for this. And that just means that we need to uphold communication with each other. So I think within the policy, it's technically three different instances of that person consecutively not responding to the provider. So I'm the provider here. Or like no showing to the call or get to the session without calling or emailing ahead of time, no response to emails, no picking up the phone. We just want to make sure that we're upkeeping that because if it, continues to be a problem, then a letter will have to be sent to you, and then you'll have to respond within a specific amount of days, and it's just a whole thing. So, it is not normally a problem whatsoever. I highly doubt it would be a problem, but I just wanna let you know so that we are aware of it moving forward. Um, and also just, like, adding on to that, you're able to end these sessions whenever you feel like you need to. We also do yearly assessments. So, you had your assessment just a few days ago, meaning that in a year from then, we will be doing another assessment. And during that assessment, they're just going to be seeing whether or not you are still meeting criteria for your diagnosis. And if you're not, and you don't have another diagnosis that is kind of still circulating there, then we might say that you have graduated through your services. So we can use our professional judgment, but you can also use your professional judgment to see if you still need services. Um, so that's all the information that I needed to share with you. Obviously, if you have any questions, please feel free to let me know. And then I just wanted to quickly get started with like the rest of the session. So it looks like you got your assessment done by Mr. Jacobs, correct? I can go ahead and pull that up and we can take a really quick look to make sure all that information is accurate before we continue. I see that he was able to provide you with a diagnosis. Do you feel that is accurate to you? Yeah, okay. Perfect. So, seems that everything's accurate for the remainder of the session. We're just gonna kind of do some icebreakers and get to know each other a little bit. I know I gave my whole big spiel about myself to you, but it's always fun to learn a little bit more. Um, yeah, your comfort's really important to me, so I want us to both feel really comfortable in this space so that we can really make some good progress together. But otherwise, I really appreciate you listening to all this really tedious information. I know it's really long, but it's really important for us to know and move forward with. So I really appreciate it, and we'll continue with the session. So thank you.